Picture someone you went to school with, the one who aced every exam, read every book on investing, maybe even got an MBA. Now picture where they are financially. Comfortable, maybe, but rich, probably not. Now picture the person at that same school who could talk to anyone. The one who remembered names, who made people feel heard, who somehow always ended up in the right room at the right time. That person is doing better than the straight A student, and it's not even close. That should bother you because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you've spent years sharpening the wrong blade. You studied markets, you learned frameworks, you optimized your budget down to the last cent, and none of it moved the needle the way you expected. Every single dollar that will ever land in your bank account has to travel through another human being first. Not through an algorithm, not through a textbook, through a person. Wealth is a social event, it always has been. And if you can't navigate people, you can't navigate money, period. Think about the last time someone talked over you in a meeting or dismissed your idea with a wave of their hand. What did you do if you stayed quiet and smiled through it? Told yourself it wasn't worth the fight. You didn't just lose that moment. You set a price tag on yourself and everyone in that room read it. The people who build real wealth understand something most of us miss entirely. Every interaction is a negotiation, and the currency isn't dollars, it's respect. When you let someone cut you off and you say nothing, you're not being polite. You're handing them a receipt that says your time and your opinion cost zero. And once that receipt is out there, good luck getting anyone to pay full price. Now flip it. Think about the last time you were at some networking event or a dinner party, stuck in what felt like meaningless small talk. Weather, sports, traffic, you probably couldn't wait to escape it. Most people treat small talk like an obstacle, standing between them and the real conversation. But that's the lie. Small talk is the real conversation. It's not about the words, it's a scanning process. The other person is running a quiet calculation in their head, deciding whether you're safe, whether you're worth their time, whether they want to let you any closer. And if you rush past it or fake it, you fail that scan. You never get to the layer underneath where the actual opportunities live, where people tell you what they need, what keeps them up at night, what they'd pay to solve. Now flip the lens. Think about networking. You probably know someone who treats it like a collection hobby. They go to events, scan badges, add people on LinkedIn, and walk away with a phone full of contacts they'll never message again. 500 connections, 1,000. Let's be honest about the return on that investment, zero. Those contacts sit in a database like expired coupons. No trust was built, no value was exchanged. No one in that list thinks of them when an opportunity opens up. That's not networking, that's digital hoarding. So the question becomes, how many people out there would think of your name when a deal, a referral, or a job lands on their desk? Not how many people you've met. How many people would actually pick up the phone for you? If that number is 3, your income has a ceiling and you can feel it. If that number is 30, and those 30 trust you, because you once connected them with someone who changed their business, now your name circulates in rooms you've never entered. You didn't collect those people, you earned them. One introduction at a time, often with nothing coming back to you for months. And then there's collaboration, which most people confuse with tolerance, sitting in the same room, nodding along, then going home and doing it your way anyway. That's not collaboration, that's theater. Real collaboration means killing your own idea when someone else's is better. It means watching someone else get the credit and being genuinely fine with it, because the outcome grew the pie for everyone. Most people can't do that. The ego won't let them. And that ego has a price tag. Every partnership that fell apart because someone needed to be right, every joint venture that died because nobody would bend, those aren't just failed relationships, those are revenue lines that never existed. If you tracked every dollar you didn't earn last year, not because of bad luck or a bad market, but because you stayed quiet when you should have spoken, collected contacts instead of building trust, or let your ego eat a collaboration alive, what would that number look like? Most people never do that math. and that might be exactly why the number keeps growing. Here is something that will sting a little. Picture two people sitting in the same office, doing roughly the same work, clocking roughly the same hours. One of them earns twice what the other does, not because of talent, not because of seniority, because one of them understood something the other never bothered to learn. The person who prices the work captures more of its value than the person who does the work. That's the quiet architecture behind almost every wealth gap you've ever witnessed up close. And it runs on exactly three mechanisms that most people dismiss as soft skills. Let's start with the outcome nobody talks about. You've been in a room where a disagreement stalled everything. Two sides, both convinced they're right, both refusing to move. You know what happens next? Nothing. The project bleeds time, bleeds money, and eventually someone higher up walks in and makes the call for everyone. Now think about who benefits from that. Not you, not the person across the table. The person who made the final decision just absorbed all the leverage in the room. They didn't produce anything, they just owned the moment where direction got chosen. That's what conflict resolution actually is when you strip away the polite language. It's not about making people agree. It's about controlling which path gets taken when agreement is impossible. The people who understand this don't waste energy trying to win arguments. They position themselves as the ones who break the deadlock. And that position, quietly, is worth more than the work itself. Now pull that thread into negotiation. Because the same logic applies, but the stakes get personal. You know the feeling. You're sitting across from someone, maybe a hiring manager, maybe a client, and they ask you to name your price. Your stomach tightens. You throw out a number that feels safe, not too high, not embarrassing. And the moment it leaves your mouth, you watch their face relax. That micro expression of relief, that's the sound of money leaving your pocket. Because negotiation is not a conversation about fairness, it's the exact moment where ownership of your output gets divided. The number you accept becomes the ceiling on what your effort is worth to everyone else in the room. Set it low once and you've just taught the entire system what you'll tolerate. Every raise, every project fee, every future deal gets anchored to that first flinch. The people who build wealth don't negotiate harder, they negotiate earlier. They walk in already knowing what their contribution converts to in dollars because they did that math long before anyone asked. And then there's the skill that sits at the very top of this hierarchy. The one most people recoil from, selling. You hear that word and you picture someone pushy, someone desperate, someone who cares about the commission more than the person across from them. But that image is exactly why so many talented people stay underpaid. Because while they're busy being uncomfortable with the idea of selling, someone else is out there framing the value of their work and taking a percentage for doing it. That's the real split. Producers create value, sellers own the narrative around that value. And the narrative is where the margin lives. If you can't articulate why what you do matters in terms the other person already cares about, then you're handing that power to whoever can. So here's the question worth sitting with. If every dollar you'll ever earn has to come from someone else's decision, which side of that decision are you actually on right now? So now you know which side you're on. The question is, what do you actually do about it tomorrow morning? Not next quarter, not when you feel ready, tomorrow. Because here's the uncomfortable truth about selling, delegating, and commanding a room. None of them start big. They start so small it almost feels insulting. Selling first, you don't need a product, you don't need a customer. What you need is a single daily habit that most people will laugh at. Every day, once a day, describe someone else's problem back to them in one clear sentence. Your coworker complains about a deadline. You say, so the real issue is, you don't have enough lead time to do quality work. Your friend vents about their landlord, you say. It sounds like you're paying more for less, and you feel stuck. You're not fixing anything, you're not pitching anything. You're just proving to your own brain that you can identify what someone actually needs. And say it out loud without stumbling. Do that for 30 days. And something shifts in how people respond to you. They lean in, they start asking for your opinion. They start trusting your read on things. Is the foundation every great closer is built on. No script, no technique, just one sentence a day. You need a sticky note. Once a week, pick one person you interact with regularly and write down 3 words that describe how they think, not their job title, not what they do, how they operate. Maybe it's cautious, detail first, slow starter. Maybe it's fast, big picture, hates follow up. That's the whole exercise. You stick it somewhere, you'll see it. Over a few months, you'll have a quiet little catalog of the people around you. And when an opportunity comes up that needs the right person, you won't have to guess, you'll already know. That's what real delegation looks like before it ever becomes a management skill. It's just paying attention on purpose. And then there's the one that scares people the most, speaking. Here's your micro action. Pick up your phone, open the voice recorder, and explain one idea you care about for 60 seconds. Don't post it, don't send it to anyone. Just play it back and listen. You'll hear every filler word, every place you lost the thread, every moment your confidence dipped. Do it again the next day, same idea or a different one. 60 seconds, private, no audience. Within 2 weeks, you'll notice something strange. The way you talk in meetings starts to change. The way you explain things to friends gets sharper. You didn't practice public speaking, you practiced thinking out loud. And that's the muscle underneath every person who can hold a room. These 3 habits cost you nothing, they take less than 5 minutes each. They feel almost too simple to matter. But that's precisely why they work. Because you'll actually do them. The grand strategies, the master classes, the weekend seminars, those are for people who want to feel like they're making progress. These are for people who want to make actual money. Look, here's where most people expect me to tell you that if you master all 10 of these, your bank account is going to explode by next Tuesday. I'm not going to do that because that would be a lie, and lies are cheap, and you've already been sold enough of them. Some of you are going to close this video and do absolutely nothing, and that's fine, genuinely. You have every right to walk away from this and never think about it again. I'm not your coach. I'm not selling you a countdown timer on your potential. If this doesn't land, it doesn't land. You lose nothing by leaving. But if something did stick, if one of those 10 ideas made you uncomfortable in a way you can't quite name, then the only honest thing I can tell you is this. Don't try to overhaul your entire social operating system by Monday. That's a recipe for burnout and self-disgust. Instead, pick the smallest possible version of the skill that bothered you most. If it was standing up for yourself, the next time someone cuts you off in a conversation, just hold your ground for 3 extra seconds before responding. 3 seconds. If it was asking better questions, write down one question tonight that you've been afraid to ask someone in your life. You don't even have to ask it yet. Just write it down and look at it. Every dollar you'll ever earn is going to pass through another person's hands first. That's not motivation, that's arithmetic. And arithmetic doesn't care whether you feel ready. So here's what I want you to sit with. Of those 10 skills, which one have you been avoiding? Not because it's hard, but because deep down you already know it would change things if you actually did it. Drop that in the comments. I'm curious whether most people are dodging the same one.